Hi, this is Linda from the Get Set Up, and today we're going to talk about the importance of not ignoring warning signs of a heart attack. And I would like to say to everyone, please, this is really, really important. And I myself am a heart attack survivor, so I can tell you how important this is. And I'll get to my story at the end. But what I'd like to say is that in the United States, 1 out of every 4 deaths is a heart disease, is the leading cause of death. And that's for women in the United States. Heart attacks can be different for men and women. We'll get into that in a little bit further, but if you find any of the signs or the symptoms that we talk about, you need to go get care. And I highly recommend that you go get care and make sure you get to a place where they can do the EKG and they can do the blood work for you, because those are the important things, because sometimes until you get that blood work, you're not going to know that you've had a heart attack. It can be mistaken for something else. It could be considered that you have a GI problem, which is what they thought I had, but it turns out, due to getting the blood work done, that I had definitely had a heart attack. So what is a heart attack? And as we talk about things, there can be many reasons for a heart attack. You could have, here's what we have right here, is a plaque that's building up in the arteries, and as it breaks off, it could clot, and that clot could pass through to your heart. Or you could have what I had, and the heart attack that I had was not caused by the plaque or a buildup. Mine was caused by the fact that I had gotten sick and I had some kind of virus, and this virus was making me vomit, and I was vomiting for over 2.5 hours when I had the heart attack, because it was the stress that was put on your heart. So even if you're in great health and you're starting to have some of these symptoms, you really want to make sure that you get yourself seen. Some of the common heart attack signs, for the warning signs, are what we have right here. We have the pain or discomfort in the chest, so think of the chest area. We also have lightheadedness, nauseousness, or vomiting, and that's what I had, was just the vomiting. Jaw, neck, or back pain, discomfort or pain in the arm or shoulder, and shortness of breath. These are really important to remember. Men can present different than women. Most men tend to have the heart attacks and they will have the chest pain right in the chest, whereas a lot of the women will come in and they will have the vomiting. It also depends on where the heart attack is. If the heart attack is in the front of the heart or if it's in the back of the heart. And those can be seen when you're looking at your EKG. So it's really important that you recognize this, get to a hospital, and get to a place where they can do the blood work as well as doing the EKG. So what are some of the things that are important to remember is that there's a lot more risk factors as we are common for older people. Some of those could be the age risk. As you get older, men over 45 and women over 55, the risk increases. High blood pressure. Also, another thing would be high cholesterol. Diabetes also increases the risk. A sedimentary lifestyle, lack of regular physical exercising, smoking, a family history, a poor diet, obesity, and stress. A chronic stress can. So think about it. If you're living up in the northern part and there's a lot of major snowstorms, it's very common to hear of people having a heart attack after they go out to shovel the snow because they're not used to doing that. So what we'd like to say is, again, if you think you're having it, get yourself checked out, because it is so important that you want to get and you want to treat that as soon as possible. So every year we have about 805,000 people a year in the United States have a heart attack. Of these heart attacks, about 605,000 are the first. About 200,000 happen to people who have already had a heart attack. So if you've had a heart attack, you could be at risk for having another one. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if these symptoms show, that you get yourself to a medical facility so that you can be treated for it. So as you have discovered that you're having these signs and that you're going to the hospital and you get there, what's going to happen to you? Basically, you are going to get an EKG, And the other thing that you're going to get is you're going to get some blood work done. These are two critical things that need to be done so that they can determine if you've had a heart attack or not. The EKG may show something or it may not. There's a thing called a non-ST elevated MI, and as opposed to a ST elevated MI. The difference is in the heart, where is the heart attack coming from? If the heart attack is coming from the back, that's going to be a non-ST elevated MI. So when they look at that EKG, they're not going to see anything wrong with it, and it's going to look good. If the heart attack is in the front and it's coming from the front, it'll be an ST elevated, and they'll say, okay, the EKG is showing us something's going on. The other thing that is the most important, and this is the blood work, and that will be, they're going to do the troponin blood test, and that's protein that's released into the blood when the heart muscle is damaged. They're going to do a stat one, which means they're going to immediately do one. They're going to do one 1 hour later, and then they're going to also do one 3 hours later. Now, the levels can vary because different hospitals can use different levels, but you want to find out what's considered norm for that hospital, what would be considered low, what's considered average, and what's considered high. So my story is, this is when I had my heart attack. I came home, I had worked that day, I felt great. All of a sudden I felt really sick, I felt really nauseous, and I felt just awful. I started vomiting, and I couldn't stop vomiting for at least 2.5 hours. So I was pretty close to like almost 3 hours later, and I said to my husband, I can't stand this anymore. And the only thing that was open was an emergency room. Thank goodness I went there, because if I'd gone to a walk-in, it would not have been picked up. I got to the emergency room, and on the car, in the way there, I did feel some chest pain, but I was like, oh man. I go in there, and they did the EKG, everything looked fine. They told me they thought that the chest pain was because of all the vomiting that I had done, which made sense. And they did the first stat, and then they came back and they did the second one an hour later, and they said to me, well, you're slightly elevated, but we really think you have a GI issue because of all this vomiting. Because even in the hospital, I couldn't stop vomiting. They would give me something for it. The one that came back after the 3 hour, the normal level, I was way over it. I should have been 65. My level that would have been normal and under. My level was 800. At that point, they said to me, you have had a major heart attack, not a minor, and that we need to transfer you to somebody different, because the hospital where I was a very small hospital. So that's why I think it's important that you need to go, and you need to go to a place where you can get these tests so that you can find out. Because if I had gone to a walk-in and the fact everybody thought the EKG looked fine, they would have sent me home. So I think it's really, really important that we go over the signs again as to what they are, and these warning signs, and that you get yourself to treatment as soon as possible. Again, pain or discomfort in the chest, lightheadedness, nauseousness or vomiting, jaw, neck or back pain, discomfort or pain in the arm or the shoulder, and shortness of breath. Get yourself to the emergency room and get yourself to a place where they can do the EKG, and they can also do the blood work. If it's closer for you and you end up at a walk-in, I'm sure they'll probably be sending you via ambulance there. Or call 911 is the best thing for you, and to have them transport you. At the time, I did not suspect I was having a heart attack. I thought I had more of a GI issue with the vomiting, so that's why we drove ourselves there. But I just want you to remember, these are really important, and it is extremely important that you were to go and get the care that you need. So as we talk about this, what happens after the heart attack is you're going to end up with having them assess you, figure out what's going on. There could be a stent placement, there could be open heart surgery if it's needed, but you're not going to know any of these things until you get there. So it's really important that you also make sure that you have somebody with you, because it's a lot for you to understand, who can understand what's going on. A family member or a friend or somebody, and that you talk to the doctor and see what's going on. And you're going to look at what the common factors are. that you know that there are going to have to be some changes. Obviously your age you can't change, but your high blood pressure, are you taking the medications that you need? There's the high cholesterol. What kind of food are you eating? What do you need to do? Maybe you need to be taking some medications to bring that down. How about your lifestyle? You're going to need to have some regular exercise afterwards. There are some really wonderful programs for after you've had a heart attack, and they will go through things with you. They'll go through the dietary. They can go through the exercise. These are really important programs to take. You want to make sure that you are taking the best care of yourself that you can, because that's what you need to do once you've taken had a heart attack. And you want to make sure that you go on and get your family or your friends. Maybe it's forming when you get back a walking place or doing everything. But it's important because the statistics are out there. There's a lot of heart attacks, and 1 out of every 4 deaths of heart disease is a leading cause of death for women in the United States. And again, remember, women present differently many times from men. They don't have that crushing chest pain. And if a woman is having the nauseousness, not feeling good, it is important too that she get checked out. Thank you for watching this Get Set Up video, and I hope you have learned some useful information. And try to keep it in the back of your mind in case it's ever needed. It's always better to get checked out and to see what's going on than to second guess yourself. Thank you again.